Hello everybody, we are back. Yes, we're in 2022 for a brand new episode of the Contest Realm podcast. If you don't know already, we're available on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify and iTunes podcasts for you to listen to and also watch on the YouTubes because there's a video version for people that like seeing things. Nice, good for you for seeing things. As always, I'm joined by Dan of Frontline MCOC, who you can find at www.frontlinemcoc.home.blog and on Twitter under the handle @frontlinemcoc for all your gaming needs, interests, guides, you name it. It's got it there on the site, and as well you can follow Dan for latest updates, including all the things that go right and wrong for the game. Dan, hey mate, it's a new year.
Hey. It's a new year and already been a lot to cover in the going right and going wrong categories.
Yeah,
been a busy patch launch. Feel like been answering a lot of questions this week. I'm sure you feel the same.
Yeah, I think mainly like making videos. I'm not saying I'm burnt out with kind of like making videos, but it's just like it's just the same thing of going like, okay, something. You know, gifting's a bit late. This is going to be on time. This is not going to be a thing. And just making sure we get as much information out as possible. I think that's really it. So I definitely understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, it looks like you've done, what, like 6 videos in the last, like, day and a half?
Yeah.
Right now, just looking at the channel, and that doesn't count whatever you've recorded that's coming out later today.
Yeah,
so,
I've got a few other videos as well. I want to test some more champions, especially some new ones and ones that have got like Weapon X and Kang, because they've kind of those two champions have now influxed more into the community based on the results of the Greater Gifting Crystal. It means that there's a lot to find interest of test with Cavalier difficulty. So I think I'm going to be doing some Kang versus Cavalier node and Weapon X versus Mutant node type videos. So that's I like when that's things that kind of interest me a bit more to do that. But I always like kind of thrusting it out very early on in the month so I can then focus on like other things because I still got variant 8 to 100% and I want to do that. I want to get back to my alt account. But how was your kind of your rest time and your Christmas? And your New Year?
Well, it was pretty good. I mean, unfortunately, we had to cancel our family Christmas because of a COVID exposure that my sister had through work. She's fine, thankfully, but it was one of those better to be safe than sorry situations. And, we were planning a family vacation this week that we also canceled. It didn't seem like a good idea to be traveling at this time. So, not what we drew up on the calendar, but still had a good Christmas. Little dude had a great time. I got him Kirby Star Allies on the Switch, which we've played for like 30 hours at this point, and he loves.
Lovely.
So it's been a lot of dual screen Minecraft, a lot of Kirby. Did manage to catch up, watched Shang-Chi, watched a little Star Trek Discovery.
Brilliant.
We got some rest, just not exactly what I was expecting for the Christmas break.
That's nice. I like that. I think ours was just very chill. I do like Christmas and I don't, because by the end of it, I've put on a bit too much like weight than I want to, and I'm like, I'm now kind of like I'm feeling the kind of effects of being a little bit bloated because I've eaten stuff that I don't normally kind of have with my diet rotation. Because I'm like, I'm quite specific with like, okay, well if I eat this, I'm gonna bloat. If I kind of like, and this will then take a month to get rid of because I then have to drink 1 million Actimels, which is kind of like, do you have Actimels in the US?
I don't.
Or Actimel or Yakult? Do you have Yakult in the US?
No, I haven't heard of that.
They're kind of like they're little kind of like bottles of like good bacteria type stuff that kind of like helps you keep you balanced in your gut area. So basically, you end up kind of like going on a detox of that. Aloe vera tablets, and it's just like, I don't have to do that in order to get back to a point of going like, okay, now I feel like I'm a normal human being. You can
you got a big cleanse coming up.
A big cleanse, yeah. Out running, back on exercise regime. But it's just like, it's just the after effects, and you're just like, oh, dude, like I love it, but I hate it at the same time.
Yeah. There are repercussions.
Did you get much grinding done over the festive period?
Yeah, I actually, I just I made a big variant 8 push, and I'm now
Nice.
100% that. So
Perfect.
that is in the rear view. Feeling good about that, which means this weekend got to get back into Act 7.
Yeah.
Act 7.2, 100%. It's either that or Act 6. So I think we'll go Act 7.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, a little better rewards and a little less reading.
Yes.
From fight to fight. So that's actually, I mean, we talked about this before, but that's the thing that, looking at like Act 6 versus Act 7, it's like, okay, like at least each lane has an identity at Act 7. So I could set up for that a little bit more. So yeah, no, doing good with that. My free to play count is getting close to uncollected. I'm in the middle of 5.2.4. I think that's the masochism chapter that gave us all so much stress back in 2017. A little easier now, but so yeah, just kind of plugging away. Open those last gifting crystals. Popped lots of crystals, Rich. So we're setting up to have a strong 2022.
Yeah, that's exactly my sentiments. I need to be this weekend. I want to sit down and kind of go, okay, right, what are my plans for the year with my rank ups? Who am I ranking up for what reason? But it's just finding like not 5 minutes, because it'll probably take an hour to 2 hours to go, okay, here's my champions available. Here's the champions I'm taking to whatever content it is, like the mop-up of 7.2, which I've got to do 100%ing. And like getting Cavalier 100% in a very short space of time, taking resources. Am I saving up for a featured crystal kind of like drop? All those things I think a lot of us are looking over our accounts, because it's the time for not a spring clean, but it's definitely like a new year, new me, new account, new push, new targets.
You gotta pause. You gotta identify those targets in your roster that are gonna help with whatever you're gonna do next. Because, like we've talked about before, a lot of the rank ups are very dependent on what you're building your roster for, because it's such a big, diverse game that different champions have different roles. So you got to be thinking about that. It goes back to this, like, is this champion good? Well, yes, but what are you trying to do?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I had a guy, I think, on Twitter, hit, I think, both of us up yesterday, and it's like, who should I rank 3? Like Magneto, Colossus, Archangel. It's like, okay, like those are all good. Like, what are you trying to do? And it's like, oh, I'm in the middle of Act 6. All right, well, I'd lean Magneto personally.
Yeah.
But, because he's so good for some of the bosses. But it's like, you can't say, like, rank 3 in Colossus in that situation is a mistake. It's just, what do you like?
Exactly. That's I think as we've evolved as people that get asked questions, normally it's a case of starting with, well, what do you like? Are you good with any of these champions? Do you know much about them? Do you use them quite regularly? Is there a good enough rotation for you? Yeah, like Act 6.4 in particular, a lot of Magneto use for hashtag Metal Champions, and you can't move for hashtag Metal Champions in the game, so it becomes like a really good interaction. But yeah, Dan, this year starting off has seen a lot of kind of, I don't know what, unrest, especially with
unrest. It kind of ties into that whole evaluating reset mindset that you were talking about, right? Because we had, fortunately, we saw Katy Candy, who came on the podcast. We love Katy. Katy's great. Met her at Comic-Con. Always up for the collaboration. Just a super hardcore arena grinder. I mean, she was one of those that put up like 90 million for Silver Surfer. I remember her doing like a ton of arenas, and I think she hadn't been posting as much, and she's just straight up quitting. She posted what I thought was a very fair video outlining what she's not into with the game. And then the other big one is Brian Grant leaving for Loki, and he's still playing the game, but he was the flag bearer for the free to play.
Like,
if Brian can hang in for Loki, then anything's possible as a free to play player. And it really seems like based on his video and trying to keep up prestige wise, that the gifting event just sort of broke what he was trying to achieve with the game.
Which I totally get, and that's the difference I think a lot of us have with where we are with where we want to be in the game from a competitive standpoint.
Right.
Like for me, I'm not interested in being at that level. Maybe one day I might kind of think about doing it, and maybe I tried back about, I don't know, 4 years ago when it was more achievable. I do really sympathise for those that are free to play trying to kind of get right up there, and it's very tough in any mobile game to be right at the tippity top and be a free to play player. Sometimes I can't think of any games or mobile games that have that kind of element that you can be a free to play player and still be right at the top.
Yeah, I mean, we know they've got to be monetized in some way, and certainly in this game, prestige is a huge part of that, and the AQ rewards.
Yeah,
and we've seen that especially with like how stingy they are rolling out those 6-star sig stones.
Yeah,
like that is when we talk about, I think you talk a lot about like depreciation of investment, and like I would argue that the 6-star sig stones right now are probably like the most protected investment. But yeah, I mean it's tough. I don't know how they feel about they being Kabam feel about someone like Brian leaving an alliance like that, because when you don't have him as the person to point to, like, see, it is possible. You can do it if you basically play the game professionally. And are really strategic about your rank ups. Like you can achieve it, and that's kind of out the window now. And as we pointed out, that gifting, we'll probably get into gifting more later, but gifting in the rank 4s and the lack of availability for those resources in actual content right now have really reset things.
We've got an issue with, say, the acquisition of like a lot of the being competitive and obviously getting the prestige up and things like that points to an issue of acquisition as much as anything. Going like, right, well, for me, I was very fortunate that as soon as I did the Grandmaster Gauntlet, I picked up a Doctor Doom. I then 1 week later duped him, right?
Right.
But the thing is, it's incredibly fortunate, and it's
I mean, that's like you're hitting the lottery twice.
Yeah.
In a week.
Yeah, and then it's like in the space of like 3 months, I have then got him another once, or maybe a second time. So maybe that's like 4 times, and of 200 signatured him. But that thing is, with any of that, I haven't spent on that. That's something that's just like that's come about. So the problem that a lot of players would kind of feel like is like, right, well, first and foremost, acquiring the champion would require Nexus-based crystals, which I think it was like in the gifting rewards, like the higher up that you got, like was it a choice Nexus or something? I can't remember.
There was. I think at the very top,
yeah.
We'll log in. See,
and
I think there was one that was like, but it was like really high up.
Yeah, I think it was like the Abyss level crystal where you get to literally choose like the champion. So it's like going like,
it's like that's the one of 10.
Yeah, exactly. So it kind of gives more option for acquisition. The only other thing that gives free-to-play players any kind of options is to go on an intense arena run, which, let's face it, still is kind of, I don't know. Let's say that it has been sorted out where the banned accounts have that have affected arena scores so highly that they've been taken out of the equation. So yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it, for free-to-play players to make that kind of top end of grind. And I guess at times like this, is either you make a decision, you either step back, take a break, quit, or reassess where you're comfortable in Marvel Contest of Champions. And as we always say, Dan, find your fun. Where do you find your fun and keep going?
Yeah, I think you gotta find your fun, and I think we've talked about that and tried to find that. For me personally, like I'm viewing MCOC is much more of a solo game these days, where I used to view it as an alliance heavy game, which I think a lot of people still do. And if you want the best rewards, it is set up to do that. Let's not kid ourselves. But that's where most of the stress and the time management, and like I was just thinking, like I have an unduped Silver Surfer at rank 1 for a 6-star, and I have a generic 6-star Awakening gem. If I was playing AQ competitive right now, I would have to use that gem on Silver Surfer and every cosmic and generic Sigstone I have, and bring him to rank 3 immediately for prestige, right? Like that's just what you have to do. And I don't really like that character, but that's just what you have to do if you're playing that game, and it's part of the deal, and you gotta bite the bullet and realize that. I think what you're seeing with a lot of people, though, who I feel like we're seeing a lot of people quitting or stepping back, and I think a lot of people have a problem with stepping back. Like if they can't be at like the absolute peak of what they were trying to do, then it's like it's all or nothing. Like I think it's a harder thing to just step back and reevaluate and be like, okay, this game is really big. I'm going to play it in this way that makes sense for me, instead of playing it in this other way that doesn't seem to make sense, which is, for us right now seems to be Alliance War, Alliance Quest, like at the level that our rosters and skill level could handle if we wanted to deal with all the baggage.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's what I encourage people. Like, it's a big game, right? Like, I don't get every arena milestone. Like, I miss incursions, resets every once in a while, even though I love incursions. Like, once you stop kidding yourself that you're doing everything anyway, like, it gets a little easier. Like, just do, I didn't do Cav last month. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to work on Variant 8, and I get it done, and that was my goal for the month, and that was fine. So, it's one of those things, like, if you play against yourself, there's a lot less pressure than if you play to keep up with others.
Absolutely, this is true. And this is all about you setting your own individual goals at times and make it more like it's Marvel Contest of Champions at your pace. And that for me is better. Like I like monthly content. I like the Cavalier difficulty. This is why I'm happy that it's gone back to the class-based system that it is. And maybe Kabam already planned to do that and do like a road test month of what they put out. There will be a month where I think next month I'm planning not to do Cavalier difficulty unless I have to, because I have to do something as part of an objective. I don't know what Kabam have got up their sleeves. But I do want to take a month off to then focus on things like story mode, Karina's challenges, and kind of work towards a rank 4 champion, rank 4 6-star champion. And that's kind of like, again, like down to goals. I in some ways I do feel I'm slipping away from it, because I can, if I worked hard, get a better prestige bump than what I've got at the moment, because I've got like still 11,700 with a 6-star Doctor Doom and a load of other champions. I have not bothered to put any more signature stones in, which I could do, and I could bump them right up, bump my prestige, but I would be able to make more of a gain by getting Doctor Doom as my first rank 4 6-star. If
you're ahead of me, I'm at 11,540, and my big bump was because I duped my 6-star Captain Marvel at the end of gifting.
Love that.
Which was quite lovely. We like that indestructible on the binary.
Yeah,
it is useful, and she trashes everything in incursion.
Absolutely,
it's quite nice. But yeah, it's. I think it's like you said, you gotta set your goals, and I do like what you're doing, getting back to, some of the permanent content, getting into the Karina's challenges, and it's like, like let's just start, checking some stuff off the list in story mode. So I'm all about that right now. I remember like in 2018 where I made like a big push to 100% Act 5 and then 100% Labyrinth, and like that was some of my favorite stuff in the game. Like, the accomplishment of getting that done, and see if I ever pull Aegon and can do Abyss, but I'm probably gonna have to plan a Strife run if I ever want to do this.
Yeah.
Because he just keeps avoiding me. But yeah, it's like, again, you can't do everything. So like, figure out what's important to you and work from there, and just be, just be happy, with getting some forward momentum, and don't worry about the fact that, Act 7.4 is probably going to come out in another month or two, and a couple people will be 100% in the first 24 hours. Like,
absolutely,
don't measure yourself against that.
That's very, very true. Right. Well, one of the big kind of factors to a lot of this is, I say like I know you've put like notes saying like CCP in the role of feedback. A lot of the times I don't think a hell of a lot has changed on CCP feedback.
Yeah, I was specifically put that in there because I was hanging out in your live stream a little while ago, and you were talking about how you pitched like 3 side quest ideas for this year, and just sort of I think we're seeing a lot about feedback back these days, and probably not as much about communication. From Kabam, and you've talked about this, like the roadmap, and I think there's a forum post like, when are we going to see a roadmap? And like, to tie this in with like the UI launch, like, as far as I know, no one from the CCP saw the new UI layout before it went live.
No,
I certainly did.
Yeah, so. I know. I need to like just kind of like put something out for anybody like listening, just to take it in. Right, if people are thinking that the CCP sees a lot of things before they are launched, we don't. We really don't. We don't see anything when it comes to the spending deals. We don't see anything when it comes to things like this with the UI launch. I've seen a few people say about, a lot of this stuff should go through CCP. Sometimes I think, like, definitely not, because at the end of the day, it's all about like the whole community seeing stuff for the first time. But then the idea of going, look, this is what Kabam do. It's like you're thrown into the deep end, effectively, aren't you, Dan? With the entire community, as to go, look, you test it, see what you think, and then kind of give us a response, as opposed to going like, oh, we've got a beta test of all of this for people to go and check out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they were doing a lot more of that stuff a couple years ago with the CCP, with sort of the big initial roadmap push, and I thought there was some really productive back and forth. And certainly, like, people are in the CCP server, they're talking about the new champions, they're reporting bugs. I think they're doing stuff, but it's I don't know that there's been as much that they've been presenting in advance lately. But to their defense, like, there were a ton of leaks last year.
Yeah,
there were a bunch of like really bad leaks, and there was a few people that got kicked for some stuff because of that. So you can understand, like, if people aren't gonna follow the rules and take it seriously, like, that's gonna some access. So I mean, I kind of see it both ways from their point of view, but like, I think we're in a point where the game does need another bit of reset, and there's a lot of talk about the game economy and the game engine and stuff like that, and whether or not it's just like taking in the feedback or not. It's like just a little more communication would be really helpful. Like, hey, we appreciate where you're coming from on XYZ, but we can't do it because of points 1, 2, and 3. We thought about that. Like, oh, like, that makes people feel a lot better than just like a blanket no or a non-response. And I realize they can't respond to everything, but it really does feel like they're not as active in communication recently.
And I agree with that. I agree. I think we're coming into the we're 7 years down in the game. We're about we're progressing to the 8th year of the game. It does feel that there's a point of not evolution, but it has to evolve to a degree. But the idea, like,
I agree.
Yeah, it's like the I was just going to cover that. This is the not sedentary. It's the what is it? It's the these are meant to be the glory years of the game. We're hopefully going to get into 10 years of a mobile game of success. But that does come a point where the collective ideas from the community and the people that are passionate about the game that have played it for so long. Not just some of the developers, because some of these developers for Kabam could have come in the last couple of years. They don't understand the way that the game has come from point A to point Z.
Yeah, they never even played Rocket Scrapyard.
Exactly. They have no idea. They're saying to people, hey, do you remember 5v5 arenas? And they have no bloody idea what those are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is a point of collective ideas from the people that have played the game over the years to Kabam going, do you know what? What's a good idea from our player base to kind of put in? And it then kind of goes like, right, well, Kabam takes seriously what players have to say about the game and what they want to see and how the game needs to kind of go forward into the future.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to hope so, because they have shown the ability to do that in the recent past. I think when you look at the original set of roadmaps back in 2020, where they really took a bunch of pain points away from, particularly from Alliance Quest.
Yeah.
Like they have a proven ability to do that. I think, as we've talked about, everything hinges on the game engine.
Yeah.
Right now, it's really hard to move forward until this game engine thing is launched and is good. And I think what you're just seeing is the inevitable slowdown in new content and new features until that's released.
Yeah.
Even though we are getting strikers.
Which I love, by the way.
Which I do love too. I think is fun, but I think it's just causing a lot of churn in the community from longtime players. I think this is just one of those, like, people who have got a lot of miles on the tires, so to speak, with their accounts. And like, it's been kind of this way for a while. Like, I don't know if I want to wait and see where it's going. Now, maybe some of those players come back. I don't know, but it does feel like there's a bit of churn in the community, both in just players and content creators. So,
yeah,
hopefully we get through this. It's just, it's just so hard with, like, so much of the feedback can conflict. I mean, certainly with Alliance War, we've seen that. It's like when the players at the top want it harder, and the players at the next level say it's too hard. Like, how do you reconcile that?
This is
tricky.
And this is what Katy was referring to, like the kind of, where's the happy medium for the, like, mid-level players. Like, I understand you got to make things challenging and you've got to add all these kind of nodes and stuff to make it challenging for certain people, but then there's people like myself who kind of feel like, because I found my happy place with the game, which has taken 7 years to really kind of find, like, I always say to myself, what elements of the game am I happy about? And I love, like, the Cavalier interactions on a monthly basis, doing Cavalier difficulty, and also, like, finding, like, just through chance, finding a champion that kind of does a lane and kind of Act 6 really well, or kind of like does something in somewhere else. And when it may take me a year to passionately get round one champion, but then find about, I don't know, 10 different usages for that champion, and it's like, I'll put out a video and it's like, and people kind of like resonate with that because I've put effort and also I'm passionate about something at the same time. I kind of feel like that is my happy place with a game. But then it may not be a case that I will do 7.3.6 day one or 7.4.6 boss day one. So there's kind of there's that, and that's fine. I'm happy with being that type of player, but at the same time, I would like a box ticked for me rather than a cross against the content that's released.
Yeah, it's and it's tough. It's like everyone's got the thing that they care about, and that's whether it's game modes or champion releases. Like, if it's you've got to get yourself out of the mindset. It's like that the thing isn't that isn't for you is a negative, right?
Yeah.
Like, you see this every month, like with champions. Great, example. Like, I'm very excited this month because I love the X-Men, and Toad and Sauron are classic X-Men villains, and I have good memories of them from the cartoons and the comics.
Yeah.
And then you'll get people be like, who are these weird monster champions that I've never heard of? And I'll be like, and I've got to turn off the how dare you, and it's just like, but that's the thing. Like, every month it's the same conversation.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my favorite champion's coming. And then person B's like, I've never heard of this person.
Yeah, it's like...
And it happens like every month unless it's a new Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you play a Marvel game. Yeah, Marvel isn't 10 characters and that's it. There's more. There's more to that than meets. Oh, the Avengers. Yeah, you've watched the films. Yeah, there's other characters that people got in to before movies.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's literally tens of thousands of characters in the universe. Like
absolutely,
there's a reason why the game's been going for 7 years and keeps adding champions, and like everyone who's like deep into the comics is like, oh yeah, they could go for years and years just based on how many great characters are still out there. Like they're not running out of steam there.
Yeah. So, hey, Dan,
it's just a wealth of knowledge.
UI launch. I mean,
the UI launch.
I've got, funny enough, if anybody's watching on YouTube, I have just put on the screen a very excited Morningstar, which is her mallet, her mace is literally going like in a straight. Do you know what? I'll take a print screen and send it over to you, Dan.
Oh my god! So the chain is straight.
The chain the chain is straight.
Oh boy, I am waiting to see what comes through on my Discord.
Okay, right. I'll send it through.
Oh boy.
Now this is gonna be good. Right, where are you? You're there. Send it through. Where is it? Gotta find it.
So the UI has been one of the big talks of this update. And let's see, what is... Oh, wow. Hey there.
Morningstar is very excited.
Interesting.
So to give you a description for those that are listening, it is a very straight mace that is a very straight chain of the... I can't remember what the weapon's called. It's called something more technical than that. But basically, it looks like a
flail.
Yeah, but the chain is very straight and is going behind.
And if she turns, Doctor Strange is going to be having a bad time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the UI, right? Like, I feel like it was designed for iPad.
It most certainly is.
It feels fine on my iPad. Like the spacing. Like, I'm looking at the picture you took, and it looks like what I'm seeing on my iPhone, which is like, the buttons are smaller, a lot of extra gray on the sides.
Yeah.
I'm not digging the home screen. Like, everything else is fine, but the home screen feels a little wonky. And yeah, you've got that thing where it's just like units.
Yep.
Right? Like, this game has units. And you should buy them.
Yep.
And it's a big number. Actually, mine is smaller in comparison on my iPhone 8. I'm looking at it now, but it's just like, it feels like there's a lot of wasted space, like horizontally and vertically. Everything seems a little squished on the, that top bar where it's like home, fight, alliance. And my fat fingers have some issues.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's a work in progress. I know Kabam Zero did say this is effectively a work in progress with lots of things to add in, and I think the top bar, the interaction bar, is going to be improved as time goes on. Now, for me, if they plan to add more things into the top bar, like as features improve and expand, and with new game engine they can like do more things, then that's great. But as well, the way things are accessed. I don't like the way that the inventory is something you've got to swipe across to see. I would like that inventory to be more front and center because things expire with it. But apart from that, I think there's a lot of kind of wasted space. I like the fact that the champion you see is like a lot bigger. I think the placement needs to be a little bit over to the left, and they need to think about utilizing to the right where those other two champions are to put something else in. I've talked about this a long for a lot when it comes to information. Like, if Kabam can't send out messages in game more easily, like putting it to inboxes, if it kind of clutters inboxes, then why not do like announcements of things that are happening, bugs, even like sales of things, like going, okay, the unit offer here on screen that you can then swipe through, the same as they had before, but kind of utilize it more to give instructions and information to players, like the Like they put out on YouTube, on the Marvel Contest Champions YouTube, a instruction of how to do the Savage Lands and Journey to the Savage Lands. So that, and how the side event works. So that would be cool to have something like there, but that's up for Kabam to look into that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it right now in the What's New, and it's like they link to the quest in the game, which is helpful, but it's like you guys just produced like a video to walk people through that and explain compasses, how they don't expire.
Yeah.
So that I mean, maybe they're headed in that direction. I know there was the removal of sort of that like scrolling banner was like nobody reads that, so we're gonna try something else with the news. With like obviously we do want people reading more and not confused about stuff, so that would be helpful. But I think I think what you're saying is probably right. Like this is a work in progress, and it's another one of those like we're putting it live, we're headed in this direction, and we're going to tweak it until we get it where we think it needs to be. But in the initial phases, that can be very jarring, and of course change is hard. After all these years, Rich, it's difficult for us.
That's true. So. That's true. Right.
Yeah, but I guess other than that, like no loading screens is good. So.
Yes, I do like that. It's very quick. That's one kind of thing I like about it. It's very quick. I did have times like there were a few kind of like loading, but that was day one. So that was kind of like Wednesday when I was doing like a video for it. Like I can imagine that first off, it's not going to be too great, and then now it seems to be a little bit more smoother. So that's positive.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of connection issues day one, and I don't know if that was necessarily like the UI or something else was going on.
Yeah, so true.
It's like, all right, well, which one was the actual issue? So
yeah,
but yeah, I guess we'll keep an eye on the UI stuff. So yeah. Other than that, let's see. Alliance War Seasons delayed again to January 19th now, an extra 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This was one of those things, like, I think this kind of ties in with that communication thing where it's like there was some stuff that was broken, like going into the holidays, that like it sort of felt like they came back and were like, oh yeah, this is still broken. And the season starts tomorrow. Like we should probably put that off.
Yeah. And that just takes a little notification on that.
Yeah.
When they left for the year.
Like I feel like that could have been. I feel like they could have made that decision like a couple weeks ago. And just like, yeah, we need some time. It's fine. Everyone would understand. Like, hey, like we don't have time to fix this over the break. Or maybe it's one of those things they thought it was an easy fix and it turned out not to be. But it's it's kind of the classic like snowballing of the delay, right? We don't, we wait till the last minute to say we're going to cancel it. We post on the forum we're going to cancel it, but we don't pull the in-game message that says the season is starting. So now everyone's confused. And then we've got to fix the timer. So it's like one of those like sort of comedy of error things that happens every once in a while in this game.
Wasn't too great.
No, it wasn't great. People were messaging me like, and I'm just like, it's really canceled. And they're like, they just sent a message. I was like, I know, they didn't mean to send the message. I promise you it's canceled. They're like, we're enlisted. I was like, it's gonna get canceled. I promise you, the season's getting canceled. They'll do a war, but it's not gonna count. So, yeah, that was a lot of messages on Wednesday about that.
Yeah. Oh my
I'm sure
word.
Your Discord was pretty active too.
Yeah, I've gone past the point of caring about Alliance Wars so much now.
Yeah.
It's just at a point where I just go like, I'm so glad I do not participate at all in this game mode. I do want to go back to it this year at some point, and my first alliance, which is Odin, I'm in Odin 2, which is more AQ focused, which I love, by the way. I think that's kind of been such a nice thing to do. I will go back and do it, but I want to make sure that when I go back, I've got a rank 4 champion, so it'll probably be to the latter point of the year, probably close to like December time. I might kind of go back and do it, but I'm just happy it's not living rent free in my mind.
Life's too short for that.
Oh God, yeah.
To be raging about crazy Alliance War interactions.
Yeah.
So, and and eventually now your favorite champion's getting banned. So,
yeah, that's I always kind of think like what's the solo competitive mode going to be like if the elements are in Alliance Wars? Is it going to be like Alliance Wars? The solo competitive mode is like playing Alliance Wars but solo against somebody else live. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. It could be feels like it's some combination of like incursions with an Alliance War mentality. But
yeah, because I thought
we'll
was the Summoner Showdown kind of like a showcase of the solo competitive mode.
I mean, I'm actually like, I don't know that I'll be doing a bunch of it, but I'm like reasonably excited to check it out. I think it could be fun. I think it. I hope there's like a friendlies mode where you can like play against your friends even if it doesn't count in like the rankings.
Yeah.
Because I imagine they'll have to do some sort of like rating system for matchmaking, so that things make sense. If it's going to be actual competitive. But a lot of what I like about like incursions is just like sort of teaming up and like hanging out with your buddy, and you're like, oh hey, how's the week going? What'd you do at work? Take down node 5 or node 3, whatever. There's no node 5 in incursions. I don't want to give them any ideas. We do not need a 5th lane.
No, we don't. Don't do it.
We'll just edit that part out of the podcast. I don't want that to be the feedback that gets back to command.
God, yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, no, that's what we're looking for. But yeah, so we'll have to see. They have decided to move forward with strikers, which they've been working on for a long time. And I gotta say, like, I'm coming to appreciate like wacky interactions in this game more and more the longer I play. And strikers has some wacky interactions and potential, and I'm all for that, Rich. Like that is fun. Like, I don't know if they're gonna leave this in, but the fact that you can hit the striker button and it works while you're getting punched in the face brings me joy.
Yeah, like this is a great fight mechanic. Like root was a thing, but I think that root was a thing. I feel that it's more of something that's good with champions that place root down or root opponents. I can imagine like from going up against it in like Act 7.4 if they were to put it into like for me I just don't know if I'd like it that much, but I like the fact that they put it in elements of kit like champions, because what it does, it creates more interest with the champions being able to interact with the field of fight. Then that's good. Like imagine like you can with certain champions click a button and it throws something from the background at the opponent, like a bit of debris or something, and it acts as, I don't know, like a stunning mechanic. So like you can just throw the same way you throw a striker, an enemy champion. Imagine you click a button and it throws a chair and stuns the enemy because they weren't expecting it to hit them. And other interactions with that being like if a Spider-Man was hit by a bit of debris, like a chair from the Sanctum Centaur. Am I saying that right? From the Sanctum, and kind of like he'll be able to evade it, but then other champions who don't have evade mechanic would be stunned, and you'd be able to kind of go into it without being, without having to do a parry. I love that little bit of that's proper innovation and evolution, and it's fun, and that's something that I love about this.
It's fun, and it's actually like looking. I don't know. I haven't gone through all the feedback yet, but like, it is hard these days for them to introduce something new and it to get a positive reception.
Yeah.
And this is getting a positive reception, and that makes me excited.
Yeah.
Because it proves that they can put something new in the game that gets a positive reception and has potential going forward. Like
how you with the button assignment and assigning and placement?
So that is the one thing, because I have definitely hit my special at least twice yesterday when I meant to hit the striker.
Yeah.
Like it's a little too close on my phone. So I would say like the button is the one thing But if we're talking about button placement versus like the mechanic working,
yeah,
like, okay, we're like 95% of the way there. Like they
yeah.
can move the button around the screen. Like it's a lot easier to fix that than like, something that just is plain broken. But getting back to the the potential of it, and like I really hope they use this more and they keep it in game, especially right now. Like we're you've got this uh you've got content where it's like one mistake and you're dead, or
Yeah.
like, okay, like I really thought I dexed that or I parried that, and maybe I didn't, maybe I did. But if the striker is your get out of jail free card once per fight, like that just feels good, man.
Yeah.
Like it's probably not going to save you in a fight where you're just not prepared, but like there's so many times where you're just like, oh, like I wasn't totally perfect and I
Yeah.
died. And it's just like if the striker is a way to like help combat that a little bit, like I'm really into that idea.
Yeah, same here. I just like the way that, especially like depending on, and there's a huge future with this with when reading the dev diary, like how it ties into relics, and that's going to be a key thing as well, like how what and when you can use a striker, in particular, like what particular buff of what champion will be allowed to be assisting you in a striking format. I just like the way that it's like this tag in feature. Like I can't remember if it was like, if it's something to do with Capcom or something. I definitely remember like something to do with that. There's a fight game where you can do something where you tag in another character. I don't know if you know, Dan. I really can't remember.
Yeah,
what it was.
I haven't played a lot of that. So
No, I know Injustice. I think you can switch between characters to use at the certain time, but I mean, for this, it's like it's great because it feels like and it would be better if this was like members of your own like team roster, to say like, okay, well you choose one of these champions to tag in with you or striker in with you in order to give bonuses or whatever, rather than this being a case of like it's stipulated. But I can imagine, because this is a test, Kabam are trying to test how this works.
They had to start somewhere, and they probably, for something like this, right, like especially for like a newer player, like what if you don't have Colossus, or you just have like 1-star Colossus?
Yeah,
like, it just tags in your 1-star Colossus, like that in legendary, like that's not really helpful. So it's it sounds like they had to start at like an even baseline for everyone.
Yeah.
So, I get that, but yeah, it would be cool if you could assign like the striker champion for on a quest level. Because we got in that like Act 7, like, okay, we get like the one champion switch for the boss, and like if you add the striker on top of that, like that could be really cool, and adds adds that extra bit of spice and variety.
Absolutely.
To, the same old, and the chance for a meaningful choice.
Yeah. Something that's going to be, and whether or not you could tie into things like throwing a certain type of debuff, or as we've seen here, we get stipulated what buffs we're going to have, like unblockable. I can't remember what next week is, but next week's a different type of buff or interaction or something like that. But whatever champion you choose, whether or not they're going to, I don't know, be specific to choice of going, okay, well, I'm bringing in my strike is Human Torch and it does an Incinerate. Or is it going to be a case you say, I can bring in Human Torch, but what he'll do is he'll give me a Fury buff. And it's just kind of like understanding where Kabam are in a developing line. I can't remember when Root was tested for players, and when we got,
that was a while ago.
Yeah, so
I just remember that rooted rogue giving me a bunch of problems. You're like, why is your special so hard? Oh, right, I can't move backwards.
Damn you! Damn you, Root!
I mean, that was kind of interesting, just because like you had to learn how to dodge the specials again, and like some of the easy ones got tricky. But yeah, I think that would be great if like each, like you're talking about like Human Torch, like each champion would have like a debuff that they placed when they were a striker. Like, in your example, like Human Torch like places an Incinerate. So it's like if he's your striker, like, let's say you're doing a lane where you have to incinerate the opponent or a certain opponent. And it's like, okay, if Torch is your striker, that allows everyone in your roster to potentially do the fight instead of a scenario where it's like, oh, like the one champion I have on my team of 5 because of the way this lane is set up, like, can do this fight, and if that champion's dead, I have to burn a revive because I don't have a second option.
Yeah, that's my kind of like hope for strikers, because then it gives like extra opportunities for doing things like the scuff of Act 6 and some of the really kind of frustrating nodes to have equal opportunity to say, I don't know, you have to have a Incinerate immune champion, but you need to throw a I don't know, cold snap or a frostbite in order to do damage. That's not exactly a good scenario, but it's like what I'm saying is like, as we just said.
No, I get where you're at.
Yeah.
And it's just another way to kind of solve the puzzle and open up the rosters a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. So I'm pretty sold on strikers as like a new thing that's relatively fun. Although I wasn't properly checking, and I think that I just summoned a striker, and it didn't give me an unblockable with Colossus. I don't know. Like I looked away for a moment as I've got it on auto fight for the YouTube video, and I was like, did it just not do? Whatever. I'll have to have a look back at that later on. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think it's just like it's something that's fun, and it's good that Kabam have developed something that they've put it in that. And fingers crossed, it hasn't been ridiculously broken. I've seen a few reports about persistent charges not working correctly with it, but I got to be honest.
I had that issue with Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
where the striker killed the opponent, and she started the next fight at 0.
Yes, that's something
I've seen people report that with Corvus, but I had the same issue with Captain Marvel.
Yeah. But apart from that, it hasn't been so bad with it. Like a point like it's broken the game, so I'm really happy for Kabam to start the year with something they've developed that has gone down well enough. So that's good.
Yeah,
more of that, please.
Listen, they need some W's. So,
yes.
Like we don't want to take any of those away.
Yeah, thank God. All right, I think that's been the show for today. Dan, what are you up to? What are your plans?
Well, it is currently snowing.
Oh
today.
My God!
We have just started a snowstorm. We're getting 6 to 8 inches today. I don't know what that is in centimeters for the rest of the world, but it's a fair bit of snow. School is canceled. This snowstorm has been predicted for the last several days. My 6-year-old has been asking me to blow up his snow tube. Yeah. Do you know what a snow tube is, Rich? Do you guys have those?
I got to be honest, Dan. I really wish we had snow enough, but I believe, is it just like a big inflatable rubber ring that you just go down the snow in?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh
and
my God,
we have a hill in our backyard that is great for snow tubing, and little dude is hyped.
Oh, good.
And he's got a couple friends that live nearby, and school is canceled, and he wants everyone to come over sledding. So I have a snow tube to inflate, and after that, I'm going to try to get some work done, and then hopefully get back to some MCOC.
Yeah.
And get back into Act 7. Act 7.2 exploration is the next big goal for the account.
Fantastic, yeah. That's monthly stuff for me, and then it's back to permanent content, 100% I know you said Act 8 then, that's the wrong thing. Variant 8, and then it's back into Act 7 for the rest of the month, trying 100% that. Same thing with you, 7.2 I'm working on. I worked it up at 7.3, but back to 7.2. 7.2.5 to 100%, then 7.2.6, and trying to get my head around Gwynmaster. But that's been it. Thanks everybody for coming by and listening, and we'll see you next time for the next podcast. 2 years, Dan, by the way. Happy 2 years.
Happy 2 years, Rich.
And for more into the future we go.